Muchas gracias, profesor Bagnoli.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor Bagnoli. José María.
Dispiace, mi scusa. Dispiace.
Bueno, pues voy a empezar entonces.
Good morning. I'd like to start then. I'll try and stick to the time. See if I can manage to do that. 10 minutes I think I've got. I'd like to thank the organisers of this event. I'd very much like to thank also the person who designed the logo for this event, this little symbol, this little on-off switch here. I've been thinking about this all morning. I've been trying to work out what that's actually about, what it means. I think it's very well designed. It looks like an on-off switch.
Sí.
So one of the first conclusions I'm going to give in this 10 minutes, it's a question of coniza and weeds. I think what we need is to be able to switch off, do something different, think outside the box. I'm thinking, for example, you probably are expecting me to stand up on the stage. I think, well, what can I do that's different? Well, I can come down and talk straight at you. Never done that before. We're going to be looking at coniza and weed treatment in general. I think it's very important for us to keep this in mind. We've got to change our mindset. We've got to do something different. Secondly, if you think I can tell you everything I know about coniza in 10 minutes, well, I think you're going to leave knowing as much as when you came. I'm not going to tell you anything new. I've divided my presentation into 4 sections. Ricardo just cut me off when, you know, when I've been on for too long. You've got this in a PDF copy. You can study it at home. You've got my email. If there's anything you need to know about coniza, just give me a call and I'll be delighted to talk to you about weeds. It's my thing. So let's meet the main player, the protagonist of this. It's a compound plant. It's a bit like a sunflower, for example. It produces a lot of seeds. They're the actual fruits, of course, of the plant, and they are transported by air. They're airborne. So this is something that it does very effectively. These fly through the air, carried. You know that things have to be very light. Anyone who's flown model planes, you know they have to be very light to be able to fly. They're very light seeds. Otherwise, they would never get off the ground. It's quite easy to follow, really, isn't it? Now, there are many different species of coniza. We've only got 3 in Spain. There are 23 altogether. Bonariensis, Canadensis, and Sumatrensis are the ones we have in Spain. So the good news is we only have 3 out of the 23, but the bad news is they're all weeds. It would be all right if one of them wasn't, but they all are. On the left you can see Bonariensis on the left. It's very well ramified. Canadiensis is like a sort of upside down broom. And Sumatrensis, it's standing upright, a bit like a policeman. They're fairly easy to tell apart, in fact. Here's a table. You can learn it off by heart if you want to, but there's no need. Basically, you can tell them apart from their height. Conienses can be 60 centimeters. Canadienses can be 130 centimeters. Some chest height, and Sumatrenses can reach 2 meters or more. That's how we can tell the difference between them. Once you've learned to tell them apart, they are able to cross breed or cross fertilize, so that there are many different hybrids, if you like. Quite often in the field you're not quite sure what type it is because it's some kind of a hybrid. It's all very well getting to know it because there's not much you can do about it. It's good to know when there isn't a solution, because a problem that doesn't have a solution is a problem that we don't have. So we don't need to bother ourselves too much in finding a solution to a problem that has none. Here's more photos of the plant. Here you can see that you can distinguish them quite clearly when you see them close up here. I've also been thinking, why is it such a worry? Why is it such a concern? Do people just want to hear about Coniza, or is there a real problem here? And I sometimes wonder exactly what the problem is and where it is. In Seville with Professor Taberneo, we carried out a survey. Maybe some of you helped to take part in the survey, I don't know. With field experts and the people who are actually providing the information to the farmers. And we said, tell us, what is the weed that you are most concerned about? It's on that survey. And tell us why you're so concerned about it, to know really where we need to address our efforts. And we gave everyone the chance to put down 5 different plants, because a farmer may have various different crops. Nearly 60% talked about woody crops, the others herbaceous or herbal crops. So it says my watch says I've been on for 7 minutes. You telling me to stop already? So the total, the reply, well, they gave us the 10 species of weed that were of most concern to the experts, technical advisors. We've never quite known what 10 are the most important, the most worrying. Well, Coniza seems to be by far, in a way, the worst concern, or the greatest concern for all of these people, the greatest worry. Certainly seems to be the opinion of the people here. If we look at these by different crops, there's a very interesting thing comes to light. On the left you can see perennial crops on the left, and on the right you've got these annual crops. So we're talking about olives, citrus, fruit and vine. They're only worried about Coniza, but nobody seems to be so focusing so much on it when you look at the annual crops. So it certainly affects the woody crops, that's for sure. Another thing we see is it not only affecting our region, Andalusia, but other areas of Spain too. There we have it. And then the next question was, why is Coniza such a big problem for you? Maybe we could ask the question better. Is it because it's very hard to control? Is it because it's very competitive? Because it's a growing problem? or all of the previous. Now the field inspector said, well, it's a problem because it's hard to keep in check. And I think that's something that we need to bear in mind, because you just can't get rid of it. They just won't give up. We are used to all weeds, basically responding to our treatments and going away, and this will simply not go away. As among the different weeds, Coniza is a problem, as I say, because it won't go away. I could say more about this, but I don't have much time. This is a whole field of Coniza. No, in fact, these poles show you where the olive trees are. Everything else is Coniza. Can you see anything else that isn't Coniza? It's hard to make anything out. You could just about see a few olive trees. Can you see anything that isn't either of those two species? Not really, no. You can't see anything that isn't one of the two. So, just bear that in mind. The cause of the problem could be because we wanted to keep the ground completely clear. We cleared everything else away, so basically we did a great favor to Coniza, because we've eradicated any competition. So we've got to think about whether it's realistic to try and imagine that we can keep the ground completely clear. It's the on-off approach I mentioned at the start. Don't worry, I'm not very good at giving classes. Just going to skip. I'm going to skip to the end. The last survey, the latest survey, we asked the technical advisors, the on-off effect. Do you have a problem? When you have a problem with weeds, who do you go to? Who do you go to get information? Do you go to a PPP company? Do you go to the public research? Do you go to the provincial offices for agriculture? Where do you go? Now, the red column is shows that people never ask there, and the green says they always ask there. So as far as weeds are concerned, they go, on the top left, they go to other colleagues. Between 38% and 19% respectively go either often or always to talk to colleagues. Others go to the plant health companies. But they hardly ever go to the provincial offices. The bottom left shows public research centres. People hardly ever go to teaching or research centres, and never go to scientific or to weed specialist companies. So I was talking to Bruno Bagnoli at the start of this. I mentioned that we were talking about integration, and he said, yes, well, we need to have an integrated approach between researchers themselves and among researchers. We all need to get together. And until we can do that, we're not going to overcome this issue. I mean, we said this with human health. When I've got a health problem, do I look at somebody else who's got the same thing